Hey everyone, this is smpratte, and I just hit 30,000 subscribers thanks to you guys. I never thought I'd be making YouTube videos, let alone have 30,000 people subscribe to the channel. So I really appreciate the support over these past few years, and I felt like this would be a good opportunity to do somewhat of a reflection, channel update type video. I haven't done one of these in a long time. I have some big announcements to talk about. Yes, I will talk about the PSA 10 Illustrator. Everyone's been asking me about it, but I'm only going to do it in Patreon, which brings me to the first big announcement. I'm offering the largest discount to date in Patreon. Normally it's $50 a month. I am offering a promotion at half off at $25 a month. You'll get the same exact access, but at half the price. Also, you'll be grandfathered into the Grandma House. So if you join during this $25 promotion, you'll be locked in at that rate. Even when it expires and it goes back to $50 a month, you will pay that indefinitely as long as you choose to stay. So what do you get in Patreon? You get 3 videos a month, and they are basically the Lord of the Rings trilogy. They are 4 hours on average of content per month. In that first video, I talk about what's going on in the market. The Logan Paul Illustrator, I talk about in Patreon. I knew about it months in advance. Anything going on with distribution? Is this set out of stock? Is it getting a reprint? I talk about that in Patreon. If there's a promotion at Pokemon Center, if there's some deal behind the scenes, I talk about it in Patreon. I go over what's going on in modern, vintage, some of my purchases. I talk about some of my sales. I talk about what I think is overrated and underrated, and that's just the first video. Then you have 2 more videos. Each of them are going to be a Q&A, and they run about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So if there's something on your mind, something I talked about in the MMR that you want me to talk about again, you just type that question below. I respond to the first 50 questions in the first Q&A, second 50 questions in the second Q&A. And I really enjoy the Q&As because not only do you get to hear what I think, you also get to see what other series collectors think. It's just a lot of fun, and those are going to be the 3 videos you get in Patreon. Now, you also get access to smpratte consignments. As a lot of people know, I sell cards for people through my eBay store and also advertise them through this YouTube channel. And my specialty, I think what smpratte consignments offers that others don't, is that I really like to bring cards to light. I think most consignment services are just churn and burn. It's get as much through the revolving door as you can. With me, I'm a little more particular. I like to aim for the higher echelon of items, and I really like to showcase what the card's all about. I have 15 years of knowledge, and I got to use it somehow. So this is the best way to do that. So when people send me their items, I think the main focus is literally the focus. I really try to just illuminate them, talk about what makes them special, give them a little more airtime, and they'll be one of maybe a few hundred cards a month rather than one of 10,000 cards a month. So that's really what the smpratte consignments are all about. And you can always just message me whenever you join Patreon with a list of items you want to consign, and we can go from there. Now, the other thing is the consultation service. I get messages about this once in a while. I used to do a monthly subscription. I think at one point I was pushing 20 to 30 people a month, and I just can't handle that like I could a few years ago. So I really consolidated it and made it a manual option. So if it's something you want to do, if you ever want to do a call, you can always just message me. Even people outside of Patreon, you can always message me if you want to do a one-off call, and I'll just set it up manually. And that's probably what it's going to be for the foreseeable future because the schedule's so tight. I'd love to just sit and talk about Pokemon, but the private life and other things going on right now really closes that gap. So it has to be manual, and that's what it'll be for the foreseeable future. Now, one other thing. I'm going to take a little sponsored sip before we talk about the sponsorships, or lack thereof. This is something that people in Patreon encourage me to talk about publicly, and I'm going to do it now, I think for the first time ever. Patreon funds everything on this channel. There are no sponsorships whatsoever. I have had every company from an auction house to grading companies to Japanese middleman services to shoes come to me. Fashion. I guess this is it. I guess it's doing something for somebody. I've had it all come to me for a sponsorship deal, a shout out, whatever it is, big or small. Anything you can think of, crypto infused, NFT, blockchain, vertical integration, fractional share grading company, all of it have reached out, and they've all been sent out the same door. I don't take any ads as it stands. I don't take any partnerships, any sponsorships. smpratte is trying to be as independent as possible. And I want to explain that philosophy, just be transparent with you guys. And I think you probably understand when you watch my videos, you can get that vibe. You know, it's just me talking. But just to really confirm that I like that independence. because I can talk about something that a company might do well one week and then maybe 2 months later, not so much. And I want to have that flexibility without being financially incentivized to say, oh yeah, that one company that just wrote me a check is really doing this thing great, even though there's all these things over here that I'm critical of. So that's something I really just wanted to get out there and confirm that there is no type of sponsorship whatsoever. It's all me and the Grandma House. Even the sponsored sips from Coconut Water, this comes from the Grandma House Fund. Like, this comes out of pocket. So there's no type of sponsorship. I just want to confirm that. So therefore, if you benefit at all from the public side of this channel, from E4, anything I'm involved in, you know, the occasional once in a blue moon post I'll make on Instagram, you know, whatever it is that I do or touch, it's entirely funded by Patreon. So I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate the support for people who do join. That's why every time I close a video on Patreon, I say, thank you guys, you're all my reasons, because literally and figuratively you are. Without Patreon, I would not be doing content still to this date. So there it is. That is about as transparent as I can get. That's just something I want to confirm that a lot of you have asked over the years. Now, you know, what do you think about partnering with so-and-so or doing this, even collaborating and things like that? I'm usually hesitant because there's always some strategy. You know, I, again, love to just talk about the hobby. I love just talking to collectors, you know, privately and things like that. But there's always some strategy angle that people are trying to do, and I'm very sensitive to that because I want to try to remain as independent as possible. So there you go. Just wanted to get that all out there on record. Now, a few other things in relation to the public channel. I'm going to try to keep up the 1 video per week rate. That's something that I have been able to maintain. Another big question over the years, you know, outside of sponsorships is, can you do more videos? We want to see more videos. I'd love to just make videos. Maybe one day when I get the check mark. Maybe one day when I'm in the max mofo status, I could sit here and just do videos all day. But unfortunately, the schedule won't allow it. And also, I think I'm a more quality over quantity type channel. I'm an odd one. I'm not a normal channel. So for me, that's why I tell myself at least quality over quantity. It's hard for me to really do a nice in-depth video like every other day. I really put a lot of thought into those videos that you see, whether it's about, you know, the recent junk slabs or why your Watson investments stopped working, you know, things like that. I really try to figure out what's the pulse right now, what's going on in the market, and I try to put some thought into that. And yeah, the process usually only allows me to do about 1 a week. And, you know, right now, lately, I've only been getting 1 out right before. It's like South Park over here. Like, I'm getting out the day before, where back in the day I had, you know, backlog a little bit, where now it's like the night before I'm getting this stuff recorded. So that's again, just being transparent about the process. You know, I would love to do more videos, but it's really just a once a week thing right now. And another thing people ask is topic suggestions. You know, what do you think of this or whatever? Usually what I do for topic suggestions is in Patreon with the Q&As, there's some really good ones in there. Like when Burndo steps up to the plate, it's going to be something. It's going to be an experience. So there's some really good questions. You know, that might be another thing tying back into Patreon is the quality of questions asked are just absolute PSA 10. Like, there's so much insight. So there's a lot of good topics in Patreon that sometimes I'll be like, you know what, let's make this its own video. But for people, you know, who are out here on the public end of it, what I try to do too is if I see a highly upvoted question like, hey, what do you think of XYZ? I'll consider that as a topic as well. So when people try to suggest topics, those are usually the 2 things I look for. I have someone who helps me out, a temp employee. I think people know that, but just for transparency's sake, you know, they tell me, hey, this person messaged you on Instagram, or, you know, what do you want me to do with this comment, things like that. So I have them try to go through, you know, some of the higher upvoted comments and let me know, like, hey, maybe you should talk about this. This sounds like what people are, you know, interested in right now. So there you go. Those are the ways to get a suggested topic up there. If it's upvoted and or, you know, if it's in Patreon. And especially what happens sometimes in Patreon is like the stars align where people will ask, like 4 or 5 people will ask the same thing. I'm sure this month is going to be like 10 people asking about the Illustrator card. But, you know, otherwise it'll be interesting to see these patterns where people are asking the same questions, and typically that type of stuff ends up being its own video. So I think I covered everything I wanted to go through there. Again, $25 Patreon special. It'll be temporary. I'll try to keep it open for a bit for all the people in different time zones to pick pedals and figure out, do I want to listen to this guy talk for 4 more hours a month? It's up to you. But again, it's entirely everything. It's the only funding that I get for this channel. And, you know, I can't tell you enough, I appreciate the support. And yeah, I'm just going to keep on for the foreseeable future. I do enjoy the hobby still. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's actually in a better place today than it was even in 2020. You know, I always just like to adapt and move with the tide, whatever's going on. I try to figure out a way to balance it out. You know, back in the day, the market wasn't that sexy. There wasn't much money being thrown around, and it was just pure collecting. And then all of a sudden the money exploded, and now it's like calmed down a bit for certain cards, and others it's still exploding. And that's what's fun about it all, is, you know, moving with that and adapting with it. And yeah, I think as of right now, it's been very enjoyable. And I think the pace that the market's at is great right now. I think it's healthy. I think you can enjoy the view at 25 miles per hour rather than in 2020. It was just like flying down the highway at 90, running from like a 5-star cop in GTA. So yeah, it's at a good place. And, you know, I'm just going to keep on trying to do one video a week. I really put all my heart into Patreon, and yeah, that's pretty much everything I have. I think we covered it all. So there you go, guys. Thank you so much for the support. Never thought I'd make 30,000 subscribers or even like 300 subscribers. So can't tell you enough how much I appreciate it. And yeah, there you go. You know the deal. Let me know how I feel. It's pretty much it. Till next time.